Let's see what Witcher 3 has to offer. Getting us a demo is producer John from CD Projekt Red. Welcome to our stage. The Witcher is a great game. I'm so looking forward to this title. So tell us about the demo that you guys gave today at Microsoft's press conference. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's just like basically a preview of what's going to be in the actual final game, and it's all been done in our new renderer. So all the graphics are getting close to final.
Yep.
There's a lot of cool things happening in that. It shows off the fact that now you can do horse riding in the game.
Open world?
Yeah, we open the game so it's full open world. There's lots of modes of transport. So we wanted to show that off. We wanted to tease some of the other sort of deeper story elements in the game. And that's basically what we did.
Yeah, now this is the final story for the series hero, Geralt. So talk a little bit about what this is going to do. This is going to close out his chapter in the Witcher universe?
We think so. It's kind of, we designed the 3 games as kind of a trilogy. So this is the final part of the trilogy of that sort of story arc of Geralt.
Yeah.
Who knows, though? Maybe we'll bring him back in some other way.
Yeah. And Geralt and the whole game in general was known and kind of made waves for its mature themes, but also just the way in which you guys approach storytelling, that every choice there is a true consequence throughout the Witcher universe. What can we expect in terms of you taking that to the next level in Wild Hunt? Yeah,
I mean, all the quests, I guess all the quests are non-linear quests. And then the sort of macro story is very non-linear too. So there's many branching points in the story, and then by the end of the story, there'll be, I think, 36 different kind of states of the game ending. So it's really a sort of complex web of storytelling.
Yeah, and you guys had talked about possibly 100 or so hours of potential gameplay here. I mean, this is a huge epic game, isn't it?
The idea right now is like 50 hours for the main story, but if you include all the side quests and the sort of Witcher hunting, monster hunting type quests, and everything else that happens in the world, it should be easily over 100 hours.
Yeah, and one of the great things about the game thus far in its prior iterations is that, you know, there's a lot of depth to the combat, and the player really gets to feel like they're in control of what's happening out there on the battlefield. What have you done new this time around, or are you kind of sticking with something, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing, or are you adding a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, we completely redesigned how the combat works.
Tell me about it.
Rebuild it from the ground up. That's sort of the main thing we did is in Witcher 2, Geralt was basically running around really fast in combat, and it kind of didn't work for us. So what we did, we slowed the character down. Doesn't mean combat slowed down, but the fights feel kind of more realistic.
Okay.
And one of the complaints about Witcher 2 was about sort of the button mashing and that kind of thing. So now it's much more sort of responsive to what you're actually doing. So you need to be really more tactical in combat.
Okay. And obviously giving the player the ability to choose, you know, where they're going to focus their time, on alchemy, on magic, on a combat. Those things are still in the series. Have you done anything to enhance the way the character develops?
Yeah, I mean, alchemy is still there, magical combat's still there, and sword combat is still there. And we made a lot of changes. Like, for instance, in the series, magic is called signs. So the main character has these signs that he can use. And in this case, there's going to be like 2 modes for each kind of sign. And those are all developable as well. And skills are even deeper. So if you unlock some sort of sword skill, it's going to have some impact on animation and so forth. So it's much more deep, much more sort of strategic combat, and more tactical sort of combat.
Yeah, you guys, I admire you guys because you do such a good job in listening to your fans and also being, you know, a game developer who is about the gamer.
Yeah.
What have you listened to in terms of feedback? You mentioned a couple of the things regarding combat and stuff, but how much of the fan or the community's involvement with this Witcher franchise have you taken into consideration when looking at Wild Hunt? I know at one point you were considering a multiplayer component, other things like that as well. How much do the fans dictate what they're going to see in the end of this?
You know, we really love our community and listen to them all the time. And most of the team, like when they're not working, spend all day in the communities and like trying to get feedback.
Yeah.
And it's a huge collective amount of feedback. And I think it just, that whole collective thing feeds back into our way of thinking. It's hard to like pick one thing out and say what we've changed based on someone's feedback, but it's all impacted how we've redesigned the game.
Now talk a little bit about the story again in Wild Hunt, because we know that, like you said, this might be coming to an end for Geralt, but as far as previous characters in the series, if you're a newcomer, it'll make sense, but also there's going to be a lot of nods to people who have followed the franchise thus far?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people read the book, so they know what's happening. A lot of people played Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, so they know what's happening. But it's going to be a first time for a lot of people playing Witcher 3, so it's going to be hard for them to get into the game. But we're designing it so it's going to be really well introduced for people. They'll be able to actually start the game. We're not sure how we're going to do it exactly yet.